Have you ever noticed that most people spend their entire lives waiting for the right moment to believe in themselves? They say they will think big when they have more money, that they will act with confidence when opportunities arise, that they will believe in their own potential after the results show up. But what if that were exactly the reason why results never arrive? Napoleon Hill spent more than 20 years interviewing some of the most successful men of his time. After studying hundreds of success stories, he realized something that almost no one sees. These people did not wait to achieve in order to think like winners. They learned first to think like the person they wished to become. And only then did the world begin to respond to their actions. Perhaps that is exactly what is missing in your life. You keep waiting for circumstances to change to finally believe in yourself. But Napoleon Hill used to say that change happens in the exact opposite direction. First the mind changes, then the decisions change, then reality changes. Today I want to show you why thinking as if you already have it all can completely transform your destiny. And perhaps, when this video ends, you will never look at your own life the same way again. Chapter 1. The external world always follows the internal world. Napoleon Hill stated that everything begins in the mind. Every achievement is born first as an idea. Before a company existed, a thought existed. Before a fortune existed, a decision existed. Before any achievement existed, someone believed it was possible. This is a principle that few people truly understand. The majority lives trying to change the outside. They change jobs. They change cities. They change relationships. They change strategies. But they keep carrying the exact same mentality. And when the mind remains the same, results tend to repeat themselves. Hill called this the power of autosuggestion. What you repeat to yourself, day after day, begins to mold your identity. If you live saying, "I can't do it. This isn't for me. My time never comes," your mind starts to treat these phrases as truths. And without noticing, your decisions begin to confirm what you believe. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine waking up every day thinking like someone who already knows where they want to get. Not out of arrogance, nor out of delusion, but because you decided to feed your mind with what you wish to build. Napoleon Hill said that faith can be developed. It doesn't appear by chance. It is born from the conscious repetition of thoughts aligned with the objective you chose. Therefore, before conquering anything, you need to conquer your own mind. Because no one builds a great life while carrying a small vision of themselves. Chapter 2. Think like the person you want to become. There is a simple question that can completely change your decisions. How would the version of me that has already achieved this goal think right now? This question seems small, but it changes everything. When you think only as the person you are today, you usually decide out of fear. You are afraid to lose. You are afraid to make a mistake. You are afraid of being criticized. You are afraid to start. But the person who has already achieved what you desire does not think that way. They still face difficulties. They still solve problems. They still keep learning. The difference is that they do not allow fear to decide for them. Napoleon Hill wrote that indecision is one of the greatest enemies of success. Because while you hesitate, the opportunity passes. Thinking as if you already have it all does not mean pretending your life is perfect. It means abandoning the scarcity mindset. It is ceasing to act like someone who believes they are always losing something. When you start to think like someone who knows where they are going, your choices change naturally. Your posture changes. Your discipline increases. You stop seeking approval all the time. You start studying more. You plan better. You take responsibility. You act with more clarity. Not because everything became easy, but because your identity began to change. Hill said that man becomes exactly that which dominates his thoughts. If for years you feed thoughts of defeat, you will hardly build an extraordinary life. But when you decide to daily feed thoughts of courage, purpose, and confidence, your mind begins to look for ways to transform those ideas into reality. And that is the moment when everything begins to change. You stop waiting for life to bring confidence. And you understand that it is confidence that creates a new life. Because no one reaches the top by thinking like someone who was born to remain at the bottom. Chapter 3. Act today like the person you want to be. There is a mistake that traps thousands of people for years. They believe they first need to achieve in order to change later. First the money. Then the confidence. First the recognition. Then the posture. First the success. Then the discipline. Napoleon Hill taught exactly the opposite. Change begins from the inside out. Your identity always comes before the achievement. Ask yourself, how would a determined person organize their own day? How would a committed person treat their own time? How would a person who believes in their own future speak to themselves? You don't need to wait for life to change to act this way. You can start today. You can take better care of your routine. You can keep the word you give to yourself. You can study even when no one is watching. You can work with excellence even before receiving recognition. This is how confidence grows. Not through promises, but through small daily proofs that you deliver to your own mind. Each time you fulfill what you promise to do, you send a silent message to your brain. I can trust myself. And that is perhaps one of the greatest riches someone can build. Napoleon Hill said that success begins when you take control of your own thoughts. But controlling thoughts also means controlling your own actions. Because thought without action is merely a wish. And a wish without action never builds a destiny. Chapter 4. Language defines your identity. There is someone who listens to every word you say. That person is yourself. Napoleon Hill deeply believed in the power of autosuggestion. What you continuously repeat enters the subconscious and begins to influence your decisions. Therefore, observe your language. Do you usually say, I never succeed? My life is hard. Nothing works out for me. Or do you prefer to say, I am learning. I will find a solution. Each challenge makes me stronger. It might seem like just a swap of words, but it isn't. Words shape emotions. Emotions shape actions. And actions build results. Someone who spends the entire day feeding thoughts of defeat hardly finds the strength to persist. Meanwhile, someone who chooses to feed the mind with courage begins to act differently. Napoleon Hill stated that faith is born from repetition. The more you strengthen a positive idea about yourself, the more that idea transforms into a conviction. And when a conviction dominates your mind, it begins to appear in your behavior. Therefore, take care of the way you speak to yourself. Your internal dialogue can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Remember, every great achievement began long before it was seen. It began within the mind of someone who decided to believe before the results appeared. Chapter 5. Faith comes before the proof. Perhaps this is one of Napoleon Hill's most important teachings. Faith does not appear after the achievement. It comes before. The majority expects to see in order to believe. Hill taught that first you believe, then you work, then you persist, and then the results begin to emerge. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means not allowing your current reality to determine your future. Because what you live today does not have to define what you will live tomorrow. If you have a definite purpose, if you daily feed your mind with that purpose, if you make coherent decisions, and if you keep advancing even in the face of difficulties, you are building exactly the type of mindset that Hill found in every successful person he studied. None of them had an easy path. All of them faced failures, criticisms, losses, moments of doubt. But there was a difference. They never let circumstances be greater than the vision they carried. That is why thinking as if you already have it all does not mean imagining a perfect life. It means living every day like someone who knows exactly where they are going. Perhaps the greatest transformation of your life won't begin when an opportunity arises. Perhaps it will begin the instant you decide to change the way you think. Napoleon Hill dedicated decades to studying extraordinary people. And he found a pattern that remains true to this day. Winners do not wait to feel confidence in order to act. They act. They do not wait for the world to believe first. They believe. They do not let fear decide their destiny. They choose to advance even without guarantees. Because they understood that true success is born first within the mind. So, starting today, make a commitment to yourself. Stop thinking like someone who lives waiting. Start thinking like the person who is building the future they desire. Not because you have already achieved everything, but because you decided that you will no longer allow scarcity to govern your thoughts. This is how a new identity is born. This is how new results appear. And this is exactly how a new destiny begins. If this video made sense to you, write in the comments. Today I decide to think like the person I want to become. This small commitment could be the first step toward a transformation much greater than you imagine. And if you wish to learn more about Napoleon Hill's principles to develop a strong, disciplined, and success-oriented mind, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week there is new content to help you build, thought by thought, the life you truly want to live.